Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Chandra Ballabha Srimad-bhagavatam Gopi Chandra Ballabha Yashoda Nandana Bhutajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Bhutajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Chandra Ballabha Srimad-bhagavatam Yashoda Nandana Bhutajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Are we in text 2 or in text 3? I marked it as 3. I put the notice out for 3, although I don't remember doing 2. Maybe I did. Okay, well, let's just do 3 then. That's what I posted that we were going to do it on today. It was 3.
So 5, I mean 83 what?
No, actually I said 2. Actually I said 2. We're on 2. Okay. Can someone kind of keep track of the time? I have a tendency to.
7:50 right now.
Maybe I should stop. I should stop speaking around 8:30 instead of 8:50. You know, and then we have some time for questions like that. But I gotta stop a little bit, otherwise I'm always late. Okay, so text 2. Shri Gajendra Uvacha. Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai. Yata Etachchid Atmakam. Purushayadi Bijaya. Pareshaya Vidhimahi. Shri Gajendra Uvacha. Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai. Yata Etachchit Atmakam. Purushayadi Bijaya. Pareshaya Vidhimahi. Shri Gajendra Uvacha. Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai. Yata Etachchit Atmakam. Purushayadi Bijaya. Pareshaya Vidhimahi. Shri Gajendra Uvacha. Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai. Atma Etachchit Atmakam. Purushayadi Vijaya. Pareshaya Vidhimahi. Shri Gajendra Uvacha. Shri Namo Bhagavate Tasmai. Atmakam. Purushaya Vijaya. Pareshaya Vidhimahi. Shri Gajendra Uvacha. Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai. Yata Etachchit Atmakam. Purushayadi Vijaya. Pareshayadi Vidhimahi. Shri Gajendra Uvacha. Tasmai. Yata Etashidatmakam Purushaya Nipijaya Pareshayadi Mahi. Shri Gajendra Uvacha Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai Yata Eta Shiratmakam Good. You can speak louder, Jivani. Use the microphone so everyone else can hear. Good. Shri Gajendra Uvacha. Gajendra, the king of elephants. Said, the king of elephants. Om, O my Lord, Namaha, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Bhagavate, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tasmai, unto him. Yataha, from whom? Etat, this body and the material manifestation. Chit Atmakam is moving due to consciousness, the spirit soul. Purushaya, unto the Supreme Person. Adivijaya, who is the origin or root cause of everything. Para Ishaya, who is supreme, transcendental, and worshipable. For such exalted persons as Brahma and Shiva. Abhidi Mahi. Let me meditate upon him. Translation. The king of the elephants, Gajendra, said, I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Person, Vasudeva. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Because of him, this material body acts due to the presence of the Spirit, and he is therefore the root cause of everyone. He is worshipable for such exalted persons as Brahma and Shiva, and he has entered the heart of every living being. Let me meditate upon him. I repeat after me. The king of the elephants, Gajendra, said, I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Person, Vasudeva. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Because of him, this material body acts due to the presence of the spirit soul. And he is therefore the root cause of everyone. He is worshipable for the exalted persons as Brahma and Shiva. And he has entered the heart of every living being. Let me meditate upon him. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In this verse, the words "touch chid atmakam" are very important. The material body certainly consists only of material elements, but when one awakens to Krishna conscious understanding, the body is no longer material, but spiritual. The material body is meant for sense enjoyment, whereas a spiritual body is meant in the material body is meant for sense enjoyment, whereas the spiritual body engages in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Therefore, a devotee who engages in the service of the Supreme Lord and who constantly thinks of him should never be considered to have a material body. It is therefore enjoined Gurushu Naramati. One should stop thinking of the spiritual master as an ordinary human being with a material body. Arche Vishnu Shiva D. Everyone knows that the deity in the temple is made of stone, but no one thinks that the deity is merely a stone. No. But to think that the deity is merely stone is an offense. Similarly, to think that the body of the spiritual master consists of material elements is offensive. Atheists think that the devotees foolishly worship a stone statue as God and an ordinary man as the guru. The fact is, however, that by the grace of Krishna's omnipotence, the so-called stone statue of the deity is directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the body of the spiritual master is directly spiritual. A pure devotee who is engaged in unalloyed devotional service should be understood to be situated on the transcendental platform. Sagunan Samati Jaitan Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. Let us therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by whose mercy so-called material things also become spiritual when they are engaged in spiritual activity. Omkar Pranava is a symbolic sound representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Tat Sat Iti Nirdesho Om Tat Sat Iti Nirdesho Brahmanas Shri Vida Smritaha. The three words Om Tat Sat immediately invoke the Supreme Person. Therefore, Krishna says that he is Omkar in the Vedic mantras. Pranava Sarva Vedeshu. The Vedic mantras are pronounced beginning with Omkar to indicate immediately the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srimad-bhagavatam, for example, begins with the words Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. There is no difference between the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva and Omkar, Pranava. We should be careful to understand that Omkar does not indicate anything nirakar or formless. It does not indicate anything that's formless. Indeed, this verse immediately says, Om Namo Bhagavate. Bhagavan is a person. Thus, Omkar is the representation of the Supreme Person. Omkar is not meant to be impersonal as the Mayavadi philosophers consider it to be. This is directly expressed here by the word Purushaya. The supreme truth addressed by Omkar is Purusha, the Supreme Person. He is not impersonal. He's not impersonal. Unless he is person, how can he control the great stalwart controllers of the universe? Lord Vishnu, or Brahma, and Lord Shiva are the supreme controllers of the universe. But Lord Vishnu has offered obeisances even by Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. Therefore, this verse uses the word Parishaya, which indicates the Supreme Personality of Godhead is worshipped by exalted demigods. Parishaya means Parameshwara. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are Ishwaras, great controllers, but Lord Vishnu is Parameshwara, the supreme controller. Om Adhyana Timananda Shakina Jana Shakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Okay. So one of the Srila Prabhupada's points here, important point, it says the spiritual master's body is spiritual. Now, how do we understand that? Because you usually think spiritual body means spirit means we are non-different from the body. When we think of the spiritual body in the spiritual world, what body we want to get, then we think, here's this body that we want to get, and we are there. We are non-different. There, we actually are non-different from our body. Our soul and it expands and it takes that form. But obviously, spiritual master doesn't have that kind of a spiritual body, because otherwise, Srila Prabhupada, for example, would not have left a body here when he went to Krishna. So how is it? But there's just like there's gold, and there's solid gold, and there is gold. They call it gold leaf or gold plated. They both are called gold, but one is, but there's a difference in quality. So like that, same thing. Something is considered spiritual, not just the body of the spiritual master, but just like food. We take a material banana, for example, and we offer that material banana to Krishna. Now it's a spiritual banana. It looks the same, probably tastes the same. It probably has the same effect inside the body as far as that health goes, but it's a spiritual banana because it was offered to Krishna. It's taken on a spiritual form, but that banana becomes, because it was offered to Krishna, then it helps to liberate us from the material entanglement instead of binding us. So in terms of the spiritual master being, his body being spiritual, because he's using that body, it's the same principle. we use something in Krishna, just like this camera and tripod at all. I'm using this to talk about Krishna and to spread Krishna, stream it somewhere so others can hear. So this material camera is which would be a material camera anywhere else, but because it's being used in Krishna service, it's actually got a spiritual body, sort of. It's not a spiritual body exactly. There's no soul here, but it becomes spiritual because it's being used, and by using it in a spiritual way, it helps us to become Krishna conscious. And if we use it in a material way, it would just entangle us in the material existence. So spiritual, so of course, the spiritual master obviously has, his body gets sick and different kinds of things like that. So it's not spiritual in that sense, but it is spiritual because he's using his body completely in the service of Krishna. That's the principle. And it's not just spiritual master. It says anyone who uses their possessions, including our body, and we use it in Krishna service, and to the degree that we are using it in Krishna service, then it's spiritual. And even though we can experience sickness and all the different pains and pleasures of the body, but it's considered spiritual because it is being used in the service of the Lord, and it is helping us by using it in our body or our possessions in the service of the Lord. Then we are becoming free from the entanglement of the material world. That's the principle. So, and then same principle regarding spiritual master. They say spiritual master is worshipped as good as God. So that sounds pretty exalted. Actually, in the early days, I think right after the first initiation that Srila Prabhupada gave in New York, the next day he posted. I'm not sure how their initiation went. Everyone was stating their vows and everything, but the next morning, Srila Prabhupada tacked to the kitchen door a note that he wrote, or a letter that he wrote. That's for all the devotees. How all duly initiated disciples must commit to chanting 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna mantra throughout the rest of their lives, and avoiding these four activities: eating meat, illicit sex, intoxication, and gambling. And let's go to Mongol Arti, and there's a few points that he made. So he said like that, and he said there's some statement about the spiritual master, because one of the disciples became confused. Says they said how should we see you, Srila Prabhupada? I'm not sure they were calling Srila Prabhupada at that point, maybe before they called him Swamiji. Srila Prabhupada said that's kind of low class. So the proper way for someone of Srila Prabhupada's exalted position is Prabhupada or Vishnupad or something like that. So Srila Prabhupada, they said, how should we see you? And Srila Prabhupada said, just like God. And so because that got everyone really shocked. Because Srila Prabhupada was always saying, spiritual master is not God. The spiritual master claims to be God. He's bogus. He really drilled that in. So here Srila Prabhupada was saying, You should worship. You should see the spiritual master just like God. So of course they had to. That took everyone by surprise. They couldn't relate to that because it seemed so different from what Srila Prabhupada had taught. And then but then they asked him about it. Of course, sometimes Srila Prabhupada would say something very, very, you say thought-provoking. He would say something very thought-provoking, and so to get somebody to think and think, oh, wow, okay, now we need more explanation. And of course, then Srila Prabhupada was waiting for that. So now they want to hear, and then he would explain. So spiritual master, yes, he's spiritual master is not God. Spiritual master is never God, unless of course God actually appears and wants to, like Lord Chaitanya, act as his devotee, but he's God. But as a rule, the spiritual master, of course, is not God, but he is representing God, and he's worshipped as the representative of God. And how is he representing God? He's representing God by two ways. Right off. One way he is representing God and is considered as the same as God in this sense, is that he is speaking the same knowledge of God. So God, of course, is just like the Srimad-bhagavatam is not different from Krishna. So someone who is living or who is speaking, the Srimad-bhagavatam is, as it is giving Krishna. So he's representing, he's so much representing God, Krishna, because he's speaking the words of God. That's one. And the other way is that he's also showing by his example how to follow those words, follow those examples. So therefore we have the term book Bhagavat, and then we have the person Bhagavat. And both are necessary. Person Bhagavat means someone who's actually dedicated his life to living the instructions of the book Bhagavat. So in that way, the spiritual master is representing was representing Krishna, and in that sense, he is not different from Krishna. And of course, Srila Prabhupada makes, he says he does make a distinction. He says one can be spiritual master, and he can be one does not have to be a completely liberated soul to be spiritual master, even to be an initiating spiritual master. And there are different kinds of spiritual masters, of course, different kinds of gurus, which I'll mention. But you don't have to be a liberated soul to be guru, spiritual master, but you need to be following you need to be teaching the knowledge of the spirit that your spiritual master has been teaching, which of course he has gotten from the specific line. Jai Shri Gaur Nitai, Shri Radha Brija Bihari, Jagannath, Balaram, Lady Subhadra, Lord Nishigade, Prahlad Maharaj Ki. You have to be delivering the knowledge that the spiritual master has given, and of course the spiritual master has received that knowledge through the line of disciplic succession, coming from Krishna originally. All Krishna is the original personality in each sampradaya. So you have to do that, and you have to be repeating the same knowledge, and you have to be teaching. You have to by example. You have to be teaching. So, but someone still may not be 100% pure. So Srila Prabhupada in our actual situation in ISKCON, So Srila Prabhupada, of course, shows perfect example as guru, as he shows perfect example as guru. What we should do, he explains what we should do. His instructions are all perfect, and he showed by personal example everything was perfect. So we follow him. Um, but the disciple should be trying to follow like that. And of course, Srila Prabhupada's position is unique in that he is actually such a liberated soul. Now, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has made a statement that one should not accept um, uh, as a guru anyone who's not a Mahabhagavad. But I don't think we have all that many Mahabhagavats in ISKCON, but there are many gurus. I was just looking at the initiating gurus. There's over 100 now, 101, actually more than that, 101 who are actually initiating, and then several more that are authorized, but are saying, yeah, that's initiating as far as the list that they on the GBC ISKCON GBC website. I think it's about 101 when I looked recently, who are currently accepting disciples, and maybe another 8 or 10 that can if they want, but they're listed as not accepting disciples, which means they still can, but they're not really open for it right now. So what was I say? Oh, so Bhaktivinoda Thakur made that statement about one should not accept as a guru anyone who's not a Mahabhagavad. So he thinks, so how do we have so many disciples? I mean, devotees are getting initiated by devotees who are probably mostly are not Mahabhagavats. Mahabhagavat means you're completely pure, you're completely um, liberated. You can't make mistakes like that. So how many devotees do we know like that? But Srila Prabhupada adjusted that in a sense. You say, how can you do something different than what the previous acharya is saying? But the principle is there, and the principle is you follow you should be disciple of a Mahabhagavat, but of course in ISKCON we only for sure, I won't say there are no others, but only for sure, as we know, is Srila Prabhupada. Okay, Mahabhagavat, pure, completely pure, and completely liberated. But if we follow the system that Srila Prabhupada set up, then it works because the Srila Prabhupada is here. He's our not only the spiritual master, direct spiritual master, Diksha Guru of many disciples who are quickly ceasing to exist in this world uh, because of the influence of time. But anyway, he has his disciples, but there are thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. I don't know how many disciples overall there are in ISKCON who are following someone else, some other guru, who is following Srila Prabhupada. So the prince and everyone should be teaching the same thing that Srila Prabhupada taught. So what we have is our founder acharya for sure is Mahabhagavat, and his example and the words he spoke, his teachings and his example are all perfect, and we should be teaching what has taught, and our example should be what he taught. But ultimately, if there's some deviation there, then still we have Srila Prabhupada's example as what we should be following. If there is some discrepancy there. So that way, we still have the benefit of being having as guru, Shiksha guru at least, um, a Mahabhagavat. Srila Prabhupada is our we call the it's called the preeminent Shiksha guru in ISKCON. Preeminent means he's the original within ISKCON. Um, everything that we know, everything I know, came from Srila Prabhupada's books. Not just his books, but his books, his lectures. Um, a lot is also in letters, although the letters a lot of times were personal letters, so they are not always every letter applies to everyone. But the books for sure, the books and I'd say the Srimad-bhagavatam classes, the Bhagavad Gita classes, for sure are we follow anything there, and it's perfect from what Srila Prabhupada gave us. And then in our classes and our writings, because there's devotees, so many books being written within ISKCON. So those books are supposed to be within the line of what Srila Prabhupada taught also. So in that way, we can follow that principle. We accept as guru, as the as either the directly a Mahabhagavat or as a representative of a Mahabhagavat, and in that way we can all go forward and make advance on the spiritual path. So there's no contradiction in reality between that statement from Bhaktivinoda Thakur and what's actually going on in ISKCON. We're right in line because of the way Srila Prabhupada set things up. And Srila Prabhupada didn't just like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he didn't establish any particular individual and saying, okay, when I'm not here, now you so and so Swami or you so and so devotee, you are now taking over ISKCON. He never did that, and he did make a statement that no one of you is capable of managing this movement. No one. So that's why he has GVC, which means many devotees. Some maybe have ideas that are way off, maybe, and others have better understanding. But because they come together and they meet and they try to figure out things and based on Srila Prabhupada's instructions, and try to figure out the best way to do things, to manage things in ISKCON. It's not necessarily always perfect, but they're trying to do that based on as a group. And we already have the example. We can learn from the example. We can't really criticize because they're way beyond us. The Srila Prabhupada had many god brothers, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta also instructed his disciples that when I'm gone, you work together, you establish I don't know if he called it a GVC or what he called it, but he wanted a group of I think they're 12 senior devotees in the Gaudiya Math to manage the affairs of the Gaudiya Math. So same idea, GVC or GVC by some other name. And he wanted that, but they didn't do it. He wanted that everyone works together cooperatively and push on the mission. But instead, as soon as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was gone, then there were two separate camps. There's two separate, more senior devotees there, and they felt, and there are others who felt about them, that each one of them felt that they should be in charge and control of the whole Gaudiya Math. And neither one of them survived. I mean, they couldn't, and I think, as far as I know, this thing is still fight still goes on after all these years. I mean, court, who's in charge? But Srila and so Srila Prabhupada said they all become, what's the word? Usara or something. It means useless. They become useless because the spiritual master Srila Bhaktisiddhanta gave very specific instructions on how to do things, and they just rejected it. So anyway, that happened there, and we've got the history. Srila Prabhupada's told us the history, and there's other knowledge that's in the disciple course. We have one at a time. Oh, okay. Oh, let me finish this point. Yes, there's a paper that was written by Drutakarma Prabhu. He did some research from, I'm not sure what sources, but he's a very good writer. So he did a paper about Srila Prabhupada and the Gaudiya Math. And the whole point of that paper, I think it explains it in the beginning, is to point out why we in ISKCON don't go to the devotees in the Gaudiya Math to find out how we should be running ISKCON. Because there were a lot of problems, and largely it was because they didn't follow the instructions of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. So anyway, these are a couple of points on this very important subject about the position of Guru and position of Guru within ISKCON. So maybe I'll stop here because we don't go too far over. And are there any questions or comments?
How many members are in the GBC? And where are they located?
How many? I don't know how many we have now. It's way more than 12. Yeah, just look up ISKCON GBC, and they have their own website. You can also see a list of the who are gurus in ISKCON. Yeah. It's all 101 the other day. 101 who are presently initiated.
It made me think of what you were saying about the male next to the Krishna without adding or taking away. But how do we justify those who add or take away? They're not instructions, or are they able to adjust based on time, circumstance, etc.?
That question came up the other day. Okay, yeah. So, well, there are general principles and there are details. That's how Srila Prabhupada explains it. General principles and details. Srila Prabhupada uses the example. The general principle is that we should chant the holy names of the Lord. Actually, we should chant some regular amount, minimum amount of the holy names of the Lord, like that. So Srila Prabhupada established for ISKCON no less than 16 rounds a day. He tried more, but he settled, okay, no less than 16. So he said like that. So the general principle is that you must chant Hare Krishna, and it's also general principle. You need to chant some minimum regular amount of japa of the Hare Krishna mantra, but as a detail that some acharya like Srila Prabhupada, not just anyone, has to detail as far as what that minimum should be. Srila Prabhupada said that in the Gaudiya Math, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said anyone who's not chanting 64 rounds a day, every day, is fallen. So of course that would mean we're all fallen. which Srila Prabhupada said. But he said, so we've established, so he says, so we've established 16 rounds as the minimum, and we need to keep that. You can't, you have to be seriously chanting the 16 rounds. And even there's struggle, generally. Um, so there's, but within ISKCON, if someone, say someone who's initiating guru in ISKCON, and they say, well, it was how many years ago since Srila Prabhupada was here, and Kali Yuga was where it was at then, but everyone knows that Kali Yuga is going down, or maybe Kali Yuga is going up because the world's going down. But we're thinking like that. Kali Yuga is getting worse. Things are getting more difficult. So someone might speculate, and it's just speculation, that therefore the people are more fallen. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada would certainly have reduced that 16 rounds to less than that because everyone's more fallen. So therefore, my disciples are going to only have to chant 8 rounds now. But I mean, someone might try that, but the Srila Prabhupada made it very clear that he and everyone who follows him in ISKCON has to 16 is the minimum. So that's something that within ISKCON cannot be changed. And some other group, or there's some I've heard of who left ISKCON and started their own, societies and like that, and they actually do like that. But within ISKCON, that's so some things can be adjusted, and as long as it doesn't go against the general principles that are. And there's many general principles. It's just one example. So long as it doesn't go against the general principle, and then of course within ISKCON we have our GBC. So, and the GBC tries to work things out the best they can based on the general principles and specific instructions, and they make certain rules or regulations and guidelines. So if they just like it was decided that so many years ago, for example, the disciple course, it was established in the GBC. There's an ISKCON law, such and such law, that anyone from a certain date on in ISKCON who wants to be initiated needs to complete that disciple course, and there's things like that. So these things are. So we're also supposed to work with the GBC, the ISKCON laws and like that. So whether a guru, one can say, yes, that's okay, but I'm not going to follow that part of it because, because ISKCON law, we should be following it. So there's some room for adjustments. I'll give you an example which I think was probably under the circumstances was good. There was one devotee who we knew here. He was sick. Actually, he had cancer, and he was really looked bad. He was all swollen and everything. He had gotten really infected, and he didn't have much longer. He had a week or two left. He wasn't initiated yet. He had never gotten initiated, and one ISKCON guru agreed to initiate him. And then when he initiated, and at the time of the initiation, of course, as you're saying, you must chant 16 rounds a day. But he was so far gone physically, there's no way he's going to be able to chant 16 rounds. He just couldn't. He just didn't. So he said. So the Guru said, the rule is, Srila Prabhupada's established rule is to chant 16 rounds a day and follow the Four Regular Principles for the rest of your life. You're so close to the end, and 16 rounds it's not going to be possible for you because he was that far gone. I think he left his body a week or two after that. So imagine where he was. So he said, so at least you chant 4 rounds a day. Do something. You've got to do something. But that was like a real exceptional case. And if he had said, you got a chance 16 rounds, otherwise you're not going to be initiated, then of course the initiation would not be there. It's just like, it was like a special mercy for him. I think that was okay under those circumstances, but and it's probably no real ISKCON law that says this way or that way about that, because it was kind of an unusual situation. But he made it clear. Here's the rule. I'm not changing the rule, but try to do this much anyway, because obviously you can't do the full amount that we should be chanting, because you're days away from leaving your body. He just wanted to be initiated before he left his body. So like that. So that was a special. Anyone? Yeah. Microphone. So we can. So that everyone out there can hear also.
Hi, Krishna. Thank you. Really, there's some really, towards the end, I was on the other side, so I didn't chance to hear the whole class, but some really, really touching comments, points that were made of things that are going on, or have gone on, and how we need to remain focused on the instructions of Srila Prabhupada. And that's why it's so important for us to do what we're doing now, sitting down, attending Srimad-bhagavatam Class, chanting our rounds, following the principles that we said that we would with the Guru. But there are some situations that have happened in the past when those things, we can see those. We can even see those in the Bhagavatam. There's so many of these great personalities went off track, and how, because it was all in Krishna's plan, it was there for us to be able to take a lesson from, to learn of things not to do. Just like a parent teaches a child. You can't do that. It's tap in the hand. There are some cases where that is happening. Where some devotees have went off track. Added things that shouldn't have been added, tried things. Like one philosophy was, because we're trying to attract so many people to Krishna consciousness, so let's, attract people, Christians, let's get the Christians. There's so many Christians who follow Jesus Christ. So let's put Jesus Christ on the altar. Put Jesus Christ on the altar. And people who are coming around normally who worship Jesus Christ will be attracted to come. But that's not what Prabhupada said. That's not, you won't find it anywhere in any of the books. It's not a standard. But it's been done, and it's been corrected. But those are the type of situations that, we have the law books. We have the law.
Yeah.
We have to follow. And like you mentioned also, there are certain things, there are exceptions. There are minimum. Sometimes Prabhupada would sit down and he would give an instruction. He would say something very strong, but it wasn't to the mass of people. He may have been focusing on one devotee's issue. So we all have different issues. We're all individuals. We all have so many things in our hearts, so much dirt. For me, I'm speaking, that we have to, cleanse. And there's a different process for all of us. But basically, all of us have to follow the same principles. We said the guidelines for initiation. Following 4 regulated principles, chain 16 rounds, illicit sex, intoxicant, things of that nature. That were But I don't want to drag this on, but it's just a good point. It's a point for us to remember. I had a horrible experience, if I could share it. I went to a temple, Prabhupada ISKCON temple, and they started to go a little off the track, and they started to, preach this Gopi Baba right in the temple. And it was so, for me, I was sitting there. I also was there moving out, and the whole change started to take place. So I've been around and seen a couple of these things that are just, for me, it's frightening. I'm not a philosopher, I'm not a very educated, philosophical person. I'm Gopi Baba, and they were sitting there. Another practice that wasn't condoned by the GBC, I mean, that wasn't approved by the GBC, and it definitely wasn't approved by Prabhupada. Because you remember that incident where we had happened to was living in LA, he started doing Gopi Baba Club or something.
Sure, Prabhupada is present there, yeah.
Smack that down. But I'll finish up very quickly with this. It was so disturbing to see how, these devotees who were just wonderful devotees and they met well, but they just went off track. They with this mental speculation. They went on. They're too smart. And they're trying to be smarter than Prabhupada, saying, well, we can have a shortcut to get to it. So let's become good. And it was very, very disturbing. So we do have to be very careful. And we do have to follow the authorities. And that's why Prabhupada set up this BBC for us to be able to, it's a check and balance system. It's so important that we do that. So, and to share that, not to try to cover it up. Right now, so many things, we see, even if you look at material, so many things, so many lies are out there, so many covering up. And the truth needs to be out there. That's the fourth leg is truth and dharma, right? So we have to have truth when we're especially for us in this con, that we're really crystal clear on what we're doing, what we're preaching, we're following that. So that's my. Thank you.
Okay. I think I like going on and on. There's so many things I'd like to say, but we actually have to stop there if no one else has any comments because I have to make things are ready for the next service. So we'll end here and continue tomorrow with verse 3 tomorrow. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.